Hi guys, hope you're keeping well. And I hope you've seen this running on YouTube. I put a little video up. It's not good quality. It's just off a phone. I'm hoping to get some better videos, but I was really pleased with it. You know the trials and tribulations we've had with it, but Stirling Engines, Mona sent me a new crank through really quickly, which I'm really pleased about. I'd like to thank them for sending that through. I had to wait a little while for head gaskets and that, but I've got them through eventually, and I managed to rebuild the engine last week so I could get it ready for Friday. The only thing was, as you saw, I went out, it wasn't good weather, and the steering servo decided to pack up for some unknown reason, and one of the wires come out of the battery plugs. I didn't have a soldering iron with me, so I managed to rig up a charge cable and get it running like that. Now, I hope you see it sort of the way it goes. There's more to come because I'm sure it's stuck in second gear. I don't know whether it's the gearbox. I'm just screwing it in, screwing a tiny little bit to see if I can get it to go into first. Now, I know Dennis Dempsey, he's had some great builds. He's building a cool car at the moment, and he has said to me that you just adjust that gear change, little by little. You screw it in, like a 16th of a turn all the time, and all of a sudden you'll get the sweet spot, start changing gear. So that's what that's what I'm sort of looking for. But the trouble is, this nitro fuel has cost me £34 a gallon, and I would imagine I'll get less than a minute run time on that little tank in there. So it's quite expensive to run, to say the least. And you roll it up and down, you come back and screw in again, and you roll it up and down again, and you screw it in a bit more, it's not changing, and then you have got to fill it up again. Let it cool down. The temperature gauge wasn't working because it had the wire had come out of the battery, but I've got that all working again now. But it didn't seem to get that hot. Now, the big thing with this engine is you've got to gear the hell out of it. You can't let it rev too high. It's got so much bottom end power. You want to utilise all that. And it's all done with the clutch belt and the gearing. You've got to have a really strong clutch in these cars. And I make my own clutches up. And you sort of got to make them, I make them out of alley. And I leave only sort of half a mil clearance, so it's almost touching on the whole of the shoes, so you get a really good drive. And I mean, this actually wheel spins away on the grass, so I was quite impressed with that compared to how it was crawling around before, and it sounds absolutely awesome. I'm gonna change the exhaust and everything, but I'm just trying to get it 100% reliable. Hopefully the crankshaft is going to be okay. When I got the crankshaft, it looks totally different to the other one. It's kind of like it's been heat treated and it's really black, but it all went straight in lovely. As I said, the head gaskets were a bit later. I got to say thanks to Lucas at Engine DIY as well. He's been helping me, sending me a few parts through and stuff like that. So Stirling Kits are giving me a hand. You can't knock them. If something goes wrong, they'll send you a part out. Great stuff. And Lucas, Engine DIY as well, he's a great bloke to deal with. Like Denny says, the shipping takes a little while, but that's the way the world is at the moment. So hopefully it'll get better. But as I was saying, getting back to this model itself. Now, when I first started running this truck, this is the gearing. I think I was running an 18, and I think it was a 32 or something like that. That's what I was running. It was screaming its head off, wouldn't go anywhere. So then I came down to an 18 and a 35 Traxxas gear, still not really that good. And I've come all the way down now. You're not going to believe the ratio that I'm running. Let's just take this body off. Clips. The handles really well. I'm really pleased with the handling of it as well. Okay. I'll see if I can show you what we're running at the moment. And I'm probably going to come down even more because I'm sure this engine can pull whatever you throw at it. Now at the moment, I don't know if you can see in there the size of the spur gear. I've come down, I think that is a 27 spur still, and the clutch pinion is, I think that is 23. So I've got a 23 clutch bell, which I kind of made up, and I've come down on the spur gear to a 27. I can't believe the gearing. I've actually bought another gear. I mean, you can buy this off eBay quite cheaply, and I'm going to put, this is a 25, so I'm going to run a 25 spur instead of a 27. So I'm going to run 23, 25. It could end up running like the same clutch bell as spur. I mean, I don't know. We're getting so close to it now, and the car still pulls like a train, you know. So this is kind of what's going to go in now. And lucky enough, with my setup, this setup of the way I mounted the motor, we've got, it makes it easy to alter the gears. Now in the bottom here, if you see these, I don't know if you can get through there, where I'm pointing, the engine mountings, they are, you can see one there. All they are is 10mm alley bar, and they're drilled right through to take a 4mm screw, and they screw into the crankcase of the engine. So if you want to alter the gear mesh, and you don't have to move it a lot, I was really surprised, you know, to go from sort of that 35 to a 27 spur. Only had to move it over like 1.5mm. So all you do is make new engine mounts out of 10mm bar, and you just sort of cut them. Well, I just measure it, you know, get a good mesh on a gear, and then I make the mounts to suit. So it's pretty simple, really. It's no, you know, it's not difficult. I mean, I normally sort of move the gearbox around, but that is a bit more involved than actually, you know, I can take this engine out of here in under a minute. I know some guys over the club didn't believe me, so I've done it. You can take it in under a minute, and you can alter by moving the engine backwards and forwards, you know, to get that to run right. Get a good gear mesh. All the electrics have been working okay. What I had a problem with when I was out was this wire actually come out of the terminal. So when I pulled it out, it come out, you know, so that was a bit of a pain. All the servos have been working fine. I've got I don't know if you've seen like an anti-roll bar, sway bar on the back there, which works very well. This is FTX. You've got to use the alley top bits because they go into a wire across there, and you can get plastic ones that are cheap, but obviously they just slip. So if you put the alloy ones on, they've got a square on the bar here, and it works terrific. Look, it lifts both, you know, the axle up together. So that's that. The tyres are really good. The ratio on the axles seemed fine. I had the water tank was leaking a bit, so I put a new seal on the top. The thing I sort of worry about this is it's got like a gear-driven pump. You've got like two gears that mesh, and the water gets forced through these gears, comes into the tank. But it does tend to foam up the water, and that's not good. You know, instead of having water going around, you've got like foam going around. I don't know, I've tried sort of like pulling the water through the engine with a syringe, so there's no air in it at all, try and get all the air out. But when it's running, it's still, you know, I mean, this pipe looks all right at the moment, but you do get air bubbles in this. And when it's running and it gets sort of warm, you do get air bubbles in this tank, you know, especially this one when it's coming back out here. it tends to foam a lot. So I don't know, I mean, Dennis is looking at some bigger radiators. Now I've got plenty of room to get a bigger radiator in, but that's not really going to solve the problem with the water actually foaming. Now I'm using all standard fuel pipe on this. And after it's run, you can put your hand on here, and it's it's warm. It's not that hot. And the last time I run it when this was working, it was about 43, 45. And when it was ticking over for a little while, went up to about 60. But then as soon as you got moving again, it dropped down again. It always feels hot on here, on top of the rocker box. You put your hand on it, you think, my God, that's hot, But I don't know. The tank feels cool. All the water pipes and everything feels cool. I mean, you can't really get down there to fill the block, but it's not as hot as some that I've had. So I'm just hoping that it's going to be okay. I think with the gearing running, I think the problem that I had and some other guys, you're not used to the amount of the low down power on this engine. It only revs to, I forget what it is now, 1350, something like that. But it creates a lot of torque, when it's running on 4 cylinders. And like I say, you've got a good clutch, and it's got to be quite strong through the transmission. So, running it on low gearing, I think, is what damages these engines, because you're making them work too hard and you're revving them, I mean, some people said to me, if you gear it up, you're putting more load on it. But honestly, you've seen the way it goes. You've seen the little videos that I did. And it's got ample power, still running very rich. I'm hoping that's going to sort of help my fuel consumption a little bit when I start leaning it out. The exhaust I've got at the moment, which is not set in stone, I'm probably going to change that, but this is a Mosquito helicopter exhaust, and it kind of just went on there quite easy. I mean, normal exhaust on these engines is something else, but it went on quite easy. But this is kind of like a double chamber exhaust, and I think that's why it smokes so much, because the oil sort of lays in there. It's like you get tuned pipes, you have a pipe within a pipe, and it's like that. It's got quite a nice sound on it, because if you take this off here, I mean, it's loud, but this is quite a nice tone on it. But I would like to have, the separate 4 pipes coming out and running down the side there. That's what I'll do eventually, but I won't do any of that until I get it running sort of 100%, okay. It starts first time, really easy. I set up with 2 little 5,000 milliamp batteries. So these are 2 5,000 milliamp joined together, gives me 10,000 milliamps. I only have to charge it now and again, and it supplies 4 plugs. It's powered by a relay. It's so simple. It's so easy to do. If any of you guys out there want to, make one of these, I mean, I've got the 4-into-1 ignition off of Stirling engines, and it worked to start with, and then it just packed up, and it looks quite a heavy-duty thing. But I thought, let's try and make it a little bit more simple. So all you need is one of them and a relay to fire it, and you ignite your 4 glow plugs. And it's easy, so easy. And it doesn't really weigh anything. You can just stick it in there. I mean, it'll last you all day if you want to run it all day. I mean, all I'm trying to do is sort of give it a tank, let it cool down, give it another run and a tank, because it's going so well. And it's sort of thing you can't stop driving it, because it just sounds, the body really suits the car, and you open that bonnet in there, it just looks good. And when it pulls away, the sound it makes, when you reverse, it dips down when you brake, everything on it, it just works, fantastic. So I'm hoping the engine's going to be reliable. It sounds absolutely brilliant. I need a new sump gasket, because the trouble is, when you take these engines apart and rebuild and take them apart and rebuild them, you need like gaskets. So I'm going to have a look on Stirling and see if I can buy some. I'm waiting for a set of fan blades from Lucas from Engine DIY. It's been a while now, but that's That's the way it is at the moment, because I want to get my 2-cylinder. I've got my Toyota 2-cylinder, and I've never got it running right. It pulls away okay, but it's always it won't run at high revs. It kind of like it got misfire. I've changed the plugs. It's almost like one of the valves is leaking. So a couple of weeks ago when I was running it, I was sort of kneeling on the floor and I was driving it around, came towards me, but I actually drove into myself and I shattered all the fan blades. It went into my hand, and when I looked down, all my fan blades disappeared. So, you know, that's been on the back burner, but I'm itching. I'm not going to give up on that. It's only something minor because it runs really well. It pulls away hard, changes gear lovely, but it won't pull the top revs. It just keeps misfiring. And when I've had a look at the valves, I've had the timing jump as well on the belt. When I look at the valves, there don't seem a lot of clearance from the overlap, you know. So I might have a little look at that. I mean, there's a new twin-cylinder engine coming out. You've probably seen it if you're following these engines and these car builds and everything like that. You've seen that there's a new twin coming out, which is supposed to. I mean, I don't understand it. They say it's capable of revving up to 22,000 RPM. But then when you sort of read about the engine, it says it's like 1350 to 15,000 RPM. But then it says, I don't know if it's an optional camshaft or you can get more RPM out of it with a different camshaft. So I'm not sure. Reading about that engine at the moment, I've had a good read up on it, and I don't know whether it's going to come with a camshaft that make it going to do like 22,000 RPM, because the one in the video was only hitting 14,000, I believe. I think it went 1350, 14,000. So I'm not sure what's going on with that engine at the moment. Hopefully we can get a bit more detail on it. You know, if it has got another camshaft, I don't know why they're messing about with two different camshafts, if they are. But obviously the one that we saw in the video was not pulling like 22,000 RPM. But, you know, you never know. They might have had problems with it or something like that, and maybe the new engine will. But it has got, going back to the twin cylinder that I'm running with the Toyota, I believe that the valve clearances are not right. I'm going to try and go through them and maybe regrind the little buckets, because you've got no way of adjusting them. You haven't got shims, you haven't got anything like that. But the new twin cylinder, it comes with a single carburettor, which is quite nice. It saves you a lot of work, and it comes with you say the two different sort of camshafts. And I see that there's like an oiler up here in the top, so you could put oil in it. So I'm not sure, you know, how that would go, but it'd be nice if it's got oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's got actually got tappets as well, adjustable tappets, so you can literally adjust the valves, you know, so you can get the clearance just right. Because obviously these engines, when you build them and they bed in, the valve clearances must alter a little bit, and you've got, you know, there's no way of adjusting them. All the Toyan's engines before the later one have been just shims, and this must be set up at the factory and ground and whatever, and that's how you get them. But there's no scope to adjust the tappets or anything like that. But the new engine has got adjustable tappets, so that's a real bonus on that. So this is where I am at this build at the moment. I was hoping to get this weekend with these smaller spur on and have another play with the gearbox, but apparently we've got really terrible weather coming. So I doubt if I'm going to be able to get out. What I'm going to try and do next time is take my iPad and set it up on a, if I've got anyone to film it, set it up on a tripod and see if I can get some, you know, better quality video. But I just thought I'd show how it can go. I mean, it's got immense power, and I think there's more to come. And if I gear it right and we get the gearbox going, it's going to be a wonderful thing. So I'm going to sign out now, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.